Thank you, Cahill, and thank you, Minister, for the answer. Minister, you stepped through a number of figures in terms of the target dates for different numbers of homes, which is welcome, but I suppose I'm particularly interested in the acceleration potential, because I confess I was a sceptic of the National Broadband Plan in the last Dáil. The fact it's been signed, it's in progress, so I wish it Godspeed. But we do need to get it out as fast as we possibly can. And one of the reasons I was somewhat sceptical is because I believed and still believe that there are ways to achieve wider coverage in an accelerated fashion instead of, or indeed now parallel with, the broadband plan. One of those legislation I published myself in the last Dáil included a rapid rollout broadband as a planning framework, which, amongst other things, would allow the likes of site sharing, would allow the likes of reuse of kit, an inventory of kit to be compiled, standardising area plans, standardising planning frameworks, bring planning regulations into a consolidated fashion across local authorities, and many other such things, including a requirement that new planning permissions include ducting to the threshold, which I know, Minister, something I think you would probably share that view as well from the previous committee. There are a number of ways this can be done. I may re-examine that legislation in this new Dáil, but I think it could be done in parallel and complementary to the broadband plan. And Minister, just you mentioned years 6 and 7, and I suppose to be local about it, my constituents in North Kildare, some of them are 20 kilometres from Dublin city centre in places like Eadstown and Kilteal, North East Kildare, and yet they're as rural effectively in terms of service provision, in terms of broadband provision, as the west of Ireland or parts of Connemara, and they can't wait until year 6 or 7 for this to happen. There's such a contingent of people working from home, engaged in high intensity activity, that it is imperative that they receive it as soon as possible.
Thank you very much indeed. I mean, this plan was debated extensively right throughout the last Dáil. And whatever my concerns, there were real concerns surrounding some of the ownership issues and the contractual arrangements. I don't think there was, certainly from my own perspective, I was always supportive of the need for a rural broadband system. And so I'm happy to take on the responsibility of making sure that we now deliver it. It won't be the only critical infrastructure we need. Outside the areas that the broadband plan covers, there will be the need for ongoing investment for the likes of Air and Cyro and other operators, and I absolutely agree with you to some of the options you mentioned around improving planning permissions so that ducting is always included in any new build project, including homes. Makes absolute sense. Site or sharing of masts or other site systems makes eminent sense. So this doesn't stop us engaging in those whole range of other initiatives. But what it does do is make sure we leave no one behind, and particularly what I seek to do, as I said, with increased importance and benefit from broadband, is to see can we accelerate those houses that were previously proposed or previously expected to be delivered in latter years, bring them ahead of schedule. And I'm committed to doing that.
Thank you, Minister. And I suppose going back to the heart of the question, and just to reiterate, any of my proposals, which I might discuss with you again, are complementary rather than alternative to the broadband plan. But I am trying to get a greater understanding of the suggestions that there is a potential for accelerated rollout, whether that's technology driven, whether that's geographically driven, whether it's commercially driven. And I think that understanding will help us to realise whether that can be applied in a uniform sense across the country, or whether it is particular clusters that, for whatever reason, fall into, I suppose, a fortunate position of being adaptable to receive broadband faster. I would hope it's technology-driven, and I would hope it's driven in a procedural sense that actually we can apply this uniformly so that the entire country receives the broadband footprint in that same advanced manner. And just to touch on, because it does relate to your other responsibilities in an area of common interest, this has many benefits across the board. They need hardly be restated, but I travelled in this morning on train from Sallins, North Kildare. Even with the pandemic, even with the reduced capacity, the trains are beginning again to get, I wouldn't say full, but they're beginning to get busy, and we're at the very early stages. The faster we can enable people to work at home, to avoid those commutes, to avoid those travels, the faster we tackle multiple issues, environmental issues, quality of life issues, public transport capacity constraints, etc. So I really can't stress the importance of this enough, and I would put it to the Minister, perhaps we might examine that legislation or other options, and I'm very interested in the specifics of the accelerated rollout that has been flagged up in the Programme for Government and in the Business Post reports recently. Thank you.
Firstly, to recognise, I suppose, the National Broadband Plan, like so many projects, has been or will be delayed slightly by the COVID, the difficulty of certain work being completed, but actually not perhaps as much as other projects, because a lot of the work that's been done in recent months surveying of looking poll by poll to see what polls need to be improved or upgraded. It was work that could continue. So we expect to be back on track by the end of this year to be pretty much on target in terms of delivery timelines. What may help in the acceleration is that I suppose we went into starting this project in a world where it was very hard to get construction workers. There were so many different demands, so many different construction activities taking place. There may be a possibility now post-COVID to actually get access to workers and contractors more quickly than would have been otherwise perceived 6 months ago when the wider economy was at full tilt. And I hope also there's a benefit for everyone in this, that what might also help the acceleration is increasing confidence that the uptake of these services will be on the higher end of what was expected, because we are seeing the benefits of remote working and the use of high-speed broadband that we wouldn't have expected 6 months ago. That, I hope, might help us accelerate the process for all concerned for the benefits of everyone.